Hi there, welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. In response to Israel's ongoing military offensive in Gaza, activists worldwide are urging consumers to boycott brands owned by or supporting Israel, hoping this economic pressure will compel Israel to end its occupation of Palestine. Notably, this movement has led to a decline in revenue for some companies. However, in the small Muslim-majority town of Novi Pazar in Serbia, a new player is stepping into the spotlight: Nefes Cola. The local beverage company has restarted production to offer an alternative to global giants like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, becoming a symbol of solidarity with the Palestinians. And those behind the brand say demand is surging. Katarina Petrovic reports.
A distinctive movement has taken shape in the heart of the Balkans. In the Serbian city of Novi Pazar, where traditions now meet modern resistance, a global call for solidarity with Gaza has sparked a local revolution. As the Israeli-Palestinian conflict intensified, many Muslim-majority countries have shown solidarity through a widespread boycott of Western products aiming to support Gaza and challenge perceived injustices. In Novi Pazar, a city of approximately 100,000 residents, nearly 90% of the population practices Islam. This substantial Muslim majority profoundly influences the city's social, cultural, and political landscape. So, in solidarity with Palestinians, residents have initiated a boycott against Western products, shifting their support to local alternatives.
Moje mišljenje neko je da ukoliko mi pomažemo na bilo koji vid, šta god, da li to bojkot, mirna šetnja, šta god, da se vidi na čijoj smo strani, mislim da i to je s jedne strane kao neka pomoć. Možda mi tamo njima ne činimo ništa, da se to smanji, broj žrtava i slično.
At just 21, Kanita Ničević is a central figure in her family's company, as well as a psychology student. As the conflict escalates, she embodies how Novi Pazar's younger generation has rallied in support, turning their city into a center of activism.
Sa društvom, kad izađemo shopping, kahva, šta god, komentarišemo, nećemo to se bojkotuje, zašto to da kupimo kad već imamo neku drugu alternativu, što se tiče i soka i odeće, obuće.
Here in Novi Pazar, solidarity with Gaza has taken on a unique form. By choosing local products like Nefes Cola over Western brands, residents are making a powerful statement. This isn't just about boycotting, it's about supporting local businesses and contributing to humanitarian causes. For months, the response to the conflict has been loud and relentless. Residents have protested, mobilized aid, and boycotted global soft drinks. Nefes Cola, a locally produced alternative, has become a symbol of resistance against global giants like Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Nefes Cola kao Nefes Cola je krenulo da se proizvodi negde 2018. ili 19. godine, ali tad, nažalost, nije prošlo i recept je bio malo drugačiji. I onda smo je naravno povukli iz proizvodnje. Onda 2023. kad smo sredili sve, onda i kad je krenuo bojkot kolinih proizvoda, onda smo mi kao neku alternativu da ponudimo.
As Novi Pazar became the first Serbian city to exclusively consume local juices, Nefes Cola turned the boycott into a business opportunity, quickly gaining traction with its revamped product.
I onda je od tada buknulo i evo i dalje ide i dalje je potražnja velika. Kao što sam rekao, širimo se polako, krećemo se, širimo i prema Evropi.
Meet Zakrija Omerović, the city's madrasa professor and religious figure. He emphasizes that Bošnjaks are emotionally connected to their brotherly nations.
Ovo se trenutno dešava u Palestini i ono što nas je privuklo da mi bojkotujemo te proizvode jeste sve ovo što se dešava kosi se sa zdravim razumom. Zato što i bez obzira na religiju, naciju i boju kože, stradaju nedužna lica, to su djeca, oni najstariji i tako dalje. I to nas je neviše vezalo emotivno, s emotivne strane, da krenemo da bojkotujemo te njihove proizvode, da pravimo mirne ili protestne šetnje. Postoji priča iz istorije o poslanicima. Za vrijeme Ibrahima a.s. mrak koji je pokušavao da ga spasi, kada je bio bačen u vatre, znači po kaplicu i kaplicu vode donosio da bi ugasio tu vatru, pa su ga upitali zbog čega, jer ti nemaš dovoljno snage, jer ugasiš vatru, plamen vatre, kaže nek se zna na čijoj sam strani. Ja sam svjestan da ovim bojkotom, ne kupujemo kolu i tako dalje, fantu, ne možemo skoro ništa da umanjimo ili da ih oslabimo, ali nek se zna na čijoj smo strani.
This collective effort has significantly boosted Nefes products and has gone so far that some restaurant owners no longer have orders for popular brand juices.
Nefes Cola kada je izašla na tržište, odmah se nekako prihvatila, mladi, stari, svejedno, svi su je nekako. Jako sam zadovoljna, jako sam ponosna na sve to i na naš grad i na sve to što radimo. Možda mi ne možemo da smanjimo to bombardovanje, ali možemo da dokažemo da smo mi uz njih uvek i da ukoliko se ukaže neka prilika da možemo više da im pomognemo, da ćemo da uradimo.
What started in Novi Pazar has sparked a broader movement across the Sandžak region, which spans parts of predominantly Bosniak southwestern Serbia and northeastern Montenegro. Cities throughout Sandžak are now uniting in their support for Gaza. This is Novi Pazar, a city that turned compassion into action. Katarina Petrović, Novi Pazar, Across the Balkans.
Let's cross now to Zagreb. Emina Buzinkic is there. She's a researcher at the Institute for Development and International Relations. She's also an activist who started an organization called Free Palestine Solidarity from Croatia. Emina, we've seen that story from Novi Pazar. You know, people want to send a strong message. They want to participate in this worldwide boycott of Israeli goods in some way. Some of them even said, for us, it's just important to show on which side we are. You yourself are leading a lot of protests and boycott of Israeli goods in Croatia. What has been the reaction there?
Thank you so much for having me. And Free Palestine Initiative in Croatia has also started joining the BDS movement and started organizing sort of public campaigns where we are trying to educate and inform people on why is it important to boycott Israel goods. And even we have started doing academic boycott of collaboration with Israeli institutions. The reactions of the public are different. You know, Croatian government in a sense is siding by German government and the governments that are complicit in committing genocide and complicit in settler colonial and apartheid regime in Palestine imposed by Israel. At the same time, a lot of public wants to join the global protests and are joining the protests both in the streets and through boycott. I think generally speaking, social movements in Croatia have been for a long time wanting to support destabilization of capitalism in a sense, which is a root cause of the global inequity, extraction and destruction of human and non-human worlds. And we are trying to destabilize also economy that is invested in warfare and bloodshed and destabilize settler colonialism and the rule that is based on killing, extraction, and erasure. And we have been leading civic boycott and academic boycott. We have joined BDS, we have joined Palestinian campaign for the academic and cultural boycott of Israel. And in academia, you know, there is a group of us that are trying to bring more critical awareness and social contextualization to academic spaces in Croatia and elsewhere, because we are aware that academia has participated in eugenics, racism, wars, both globally and domestically, and it is critical for academia to end that complicity.
BDS movement is out there for a long time, but it feels like after the latest Israel's attack on Gaza, things have started to get completely new perspective. What do you see as the biggest change that we witnessed, and what do you think is the future of the movements like this and the one that you are leading?
I think people globally can't and won't put up anymore with violence and regimes of power that perpetually and ongoingly undermine people's power, and the regimes that kill, produce death, pain, and violence. The pro-Palestinian movements across the world that we are seeing today, from student ones to the massive ones in Sudan and Yemen, for instance, in support of Palestine, are the extension of multiple struggles, historic ones and the present ones. In Croatia and post-Yugoslav spaces, for instance, this is an extension of non-aligned movement too, where we are marking historic participation in anti-colonial movements. People are realizing, too, that Palestine is the question of our time, and that the Palestinian genocide is clearly laying out that anyone could be killed anytime, in any place, if that's opportunistic for entangled regimes of militarization or military capitalism, imperial desires, and territorial occupations. And, at the same time, we didn't have to experience genocide in Palestine to be aware of that. Yet, as Mesna Kato, American Palestinian, said, the world needed Palestine to open their eyes and to try and to start dismantling these regimes that are extractive and lethal and destructive for the whole world. People need freedom, not only from killings, but from the economic exhaustion, from deprivations and impoverishment dictated and managed by racial capitalism.
As we are witnessing the world who is becoming increasingly polarized, especially in the last 10 months or so, we are seeing a lot of people being affected by the fact that they are joining pro-Palestinian cause. We are seeing authors, academicians like you being cancelled, losing the jobs, the publishing houses. How to fight this?
We have to fight it with our voice. We have to fight it by using our privilege in academic and other spaces. In academic spaces, those with tenure-track jobs need to raise their voices for sure, and their action. We need to be creating coalitions and making our work visible and strong from within. We have to keep justifying the role of academia and research and science in social justice, and stop diminishing the role of academia and science in what's happening in the world. We need to be also supporting our colleagues who have lost their jobs. We also can and should be supporting Palestinian academics that are seeking for asylum in academic institutions across the world, because they are experiencing scholasticide and not only genocide. We have to be hosting Palestinian students as well and offering them opportunity for further education and participation in science and different social achievements. We also have to be hosting Israeli students and academics, especially those who are opposing apartheid and settler colonialism and this genocide. We have to be calling for ceasefire, and we have to understand that academic labor towards ending genocide is not activism, but ethical move that each academic should be doing, and that labeling academics as activists is a sort of weaponization and showing how complicit academic institutions and academics are in committing genocide and violence. So all of that we need to be doing in order to stop other academics from getting fired, from
being
losing their positions, and being persecuted for freedom of speech and academic freedoms.
Emina Buzinkic, thank you so much for being our guest. Pleasure to have you on at TRT World.
Thank you so much for having me.
As we mentioned, from massive protests to boycott campaigns, people around the world are rallying to show their solidarity with Palestinians and take a stand against the war in Gaza. Some companies, like McDonald's, are experiencing their first decline in sales in decades. Adam Amunu takes a closer look at what's been happening online and the BDS movement itself.
A global boycott of Israeli products, companies and those who support the country has become increasingly popular. It's marked a political and cultural moment on platforms like TikTok and X. Gen Z and millennials are calling for people to put their money where their mouths are in response to Israel's onslaught on Gaza, now in its 10th month. Among the brands being boycotted are Disney, Puma, Google, Booking.com, and McDonald's. But while more people know about the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement, it's not new. The BDS movement is Palestinian-led and advocates for the end of Israel's illegal occupation of the West Bank, Gaza and Golan Heights, for equality for Palestinians,
Victoria's Haganah troops have driven the Arabs out of the beleaguered city, taking many...
and the right of return of all Palestinians who were ousted from their homes when Israel was established in 1948. The event is known as the First Nakba. Israel has killed more than 39,000 Palestinians in the Strip, with thousands more reported missing since the conflict started on October 7th. It set off a worldwide movement of student encampments and mass protests that's targeted corporations and universities with financial interests in Israel. Even celebrities have not been immune to the uproar.
So I took my entire morning to make a list of every single influencer or celebrity that I have seen on TikTok and Instagram who has not spoken out about what's going on right now in Palestine.
There are those who have voiced their support for Palestinians. American singer Kehlani's video Next to You shows her dancing in front of the Palestinian flag and wearing the traditional Palestinian keffiyeh.
If you have been living under a rock, right? Because even if you were under the rock, you would still know what's going on, but you'd have to be like 2 rocks under to not know that there is an attempted genocide happening. I don't even say attempted. There is a genocide taking place in Palestine at present we are watching it.
McDonald's just had to buy back all of their stores in Israel just weeks after announcing that the boycott had severely hurt their business in the Middle East.
The boycott seems to be taking effect. In late July, McDonald's reported its global sales fell by 1% between April and June. This marks the first decline in McDonald's finances since 2020. Even though KFC is not on the official boycott list, KFC Malaysia has temporarily closed some outlets in the country. A growing number of European universities have severed or reviewed ties with Israeli universities. It matches Europe's political divisions, with governments in Spain, Ireland, Belgium and Norway among Israel's most vocal critics. The boycott might be piling on the pressure, but with Israel's continued attacks on Gaza's population and Israel's insistence on eradicating Hamas, many believe it's only a strong political will which will bring an end to the atrocities. Emina, Across the Balkans.
Journalists, like civilians, have been at risk since the conflict in Gaza began. While international reporters are barred from Gaza, local journalists face severe dangers without protection or basic necessities as they strive to do their jobs and report the truth. The Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 113 media workers have been killed, marking the deadliest period for journalists since data collection started back in 1992. Journalists are protected by international law, and deliberately targeting them is classified as murder. In May, the International Criminal Court announced it was seeking arrest warrants for Israeli leaders for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Let's bring in Ena Jurov now. She's a comic book author and visual communication designer who made the illustrations of the journalists killed in Gaza. Ena, great to have you with us. Tell us more about these illustrations that we are seeing and what do they represent?
Thank you for inviting me. I made the illustrations of journalists killed in Gaza because a friend of mine, Ivana Perić, actually started the project. She compiled the list of all the journalists that were killed, and she made little biographies of them and sent me the photos. So I did like a couple of them, 20, and then some other illustrators chimed in, and they also made their own drawings.
And as an artist, how has working on this project affected your perspective on the role of journalists in the war zones?
Well, actually, it hasn't affected me much because I knew about it already, but it was really important to me to do these drawings because I believe that these people have to be remembered. Before this, I was drawing people who were killed on the European border, and it was also like a similar situation to this one. And I feel that with my art, I have this power to remember someone.
What has been the reaction on your illustrations of the journalists among the people? What did they tell you?
They were really touched by them. They're like thankful that people remember people, and they were shared a lot on like Instagram and other social media.
And this must mean a lot for their families, you know, out there in the Middle East, knowing there's someone, you know, in Croatia trying to have, you know, their sons, fathers, brothers remembered as you are trying to. So it's really amazing what you are doing. Can art also be in some way a catalyst for a change in the way how we address the risks the journalists are facing?
I'm not sure it can be really a change from this position of us in Europe in this safe space, but I think it can change. Maybe some journalists local over here can change the way they report on the genocide in Gaza, and they can change the language, and they can, yeah.
And how much do you know actually about these people? Did you try to find out more about them and their lives and their careers?
Yes, Ivana Peric did the research, and she wrote their biographies, and she got all the information that she could find. It's like their Facebook profile photos or some other small photos. So it's not much, but it is something.
And now, how do you look at? Did you change in any way the way your perception of the journalists working out there while the conflict is taking place behind their back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really respectful to them for what they do, and I know it's a really hard job in a horrible situation, and we have to be thankful for everything they do.
And what do you plan to do next? Any similar projects regarding Palestine?
Nothing at the moment. I do some things. I do design for Initiative for Free Palestine in Zagreb. And whenever they do protest or anything, I'm there for them.
And how significant is for the protest to have the visual representations done by an artist like you?
I think it creates, it makes people feel more. It creates emotions. When they see like real photos and things from the war zone, they tend to look away. But when they see something that's more visually pleasing, then they maybe engage in the topic more.
How about online? As we know, a lot of Palestinian posts, real footage, real pictures have been censored on certain media, on certain social media platforms. Can art step in this case?
Yes, it doesn't get censored as much, and you can sneak in things that would be censored usually.
Okay, so everyone who wants to take a look at Ena's illustrations and share, they can find her online, as her main goal is to have these people remembered. Ena, thank you so much for being our guest on Across the Balkans.
Thank you.
Israel's attack on Gaza has entered its 10th month and continues to devastate lives despite global protests, calls and boycotts. Before ending this episode, we leave you with pictures from Gaza to show the latest situation on the ground. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.